magulang para sa mga batang manonood.
Good evening, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, together with the Presidential Communications Office.
We bring you the latest, widest, and most comprehensive news coverage from the People's Television, IBC, Philippine News Agency, Philippine Information Agency, and Presidential Broadcast Service. I am Princess Habiba Saripauda.
And I'm Joe Fernandez from Radyo Pilipinas. Welcome to
Balitang Pambansa.
Tonight's headlines. Relentless torrential rain will be experienced over the weekend due to Typhoon Pepito. Typhoon Pepito is expected to reach super typhoon level prior to its landfall over Catanduanes tomorrow evening or early Sunday morning. Mandatory evacuation has been enforced in areas that may be hit by the storm surge. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. inaugurates 5 new stations for the first phase of the Light Rail Transit or LRT Line 1 Cavite Extension Project. Marcos administration's total approved investments climbed to 541.29 billion pesos during the third quarter of the year. The government is already taking steps to make sure the effects of Pepito to areas within its path as much as possible are minimized. This early, the chief executive has already ordered that preemptive evacuations be conducted to make sure no residents are in harm's way once the weather disturbance starts unleashing its fury. PTV's Clazel Pardilla has the full report.
Even before making landfall, several areas in the country have already been placed under signal number 2 as they are expected to be in the path of Typhoon Pepito. The storm is predicted to intensify, bringing torrential rainfall and storm surge that could reach over 3 meters, almost the height of a 2-story house. Regions close to the coast, particularly in Bicol, Quezon, and eastern Visayas, are expected to be the most impacted. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has expressed concern that storm will not only damage infrastructure but also pose a significant threat to the safety and lives of the people.
We have to get them to the high ground. It's not enough to move them away from the sea. We have to get them to high ground. That's the only thing that we can do.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has ordered the rapid evacuation before disaster strikes. Tonight, the DILG will implement a mandatory evacuation in areas forecast to be affected by the storm surge. 200,000 residents will be under preemptive evacuation. This will be followed by the deployment of police forces.
Ang laging kinakatakutan kasi ng may bahay dito, laging kinakatakutan ng may bahay ay yung mananakawan sila. So kasama doon ang PNP para siguro na walang hindi magkakanakawan.
Sir, mandatory meaning forced evacuation?
Yes, pipilitin talaga na mag-evacuation lalo na sa gusto, kahit ayaw nila.
The Department of National Defense has assured that the government has sufficient resources and machinery, whether air, sea, or land, to respond to the impacts of the storm.
The airlift capability for pagdala ng mga gamit for search and rescue, mga relief goods, etc. ay mukhang nakahanda naman. The airlift, pati na yung mga barko na nagdadala ng mga relief goods.
The Department of Social Welfare and Development has confirmed that more than 1 million relief goods are ready, with an additional 1 million expected to be distributed to assist the storm's victims. Meanwhile, despite the damage to agriculture, President Marcos Jr. has assured the public that food supply remains adequate even after previous disasters. From PTV, Clazel Pardilla, Balitang Pambansa.
Pag-asa says Typhoon Pepito continues to intensify rapidly as it moves west-northwestward. The weather disturbance was last located some 465 kilometers east of D1 Eastern Samar. It has maximum sustained winds of 150 kilometers per hour near its center with gustiness of up to 185 kilometers per hour. Tropical cyclone wind signal number 2 has been raised over the eastern portion of northern Samar, the northern portion of eastern Samar, and the northeastern portion of Samar, while Aurora, Quezon, the eastern portion of Laguna, Marinduque, Camarines Norte, Camarines Sur, Catanduanes, Albay, Sorsogon, Masbate, the rest of northern Samar, the rest of eastern Samar, the rest of Samar and Biliran have been placed under tropical cyclone and wind signal number 1. Typhoon Pepito is forecast to make landfall in the vicinity of Catanduanes tomorrow evening or on early Sunday morning. Other possible landfall areas may include the eastern coast of Camarines Sur, Albay, Sorsogon, and northern Samar. Meanwhile, the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council or NDRRMC reported Batanes, Catanduanes, and Camarines Norte are expected to have the highest number of barangays to experience continuous rains in the next 5 days due to Pepito. The public is also urged to stay alert as heavy rainfall, strong winds, and storm surge are expected, especially in the areas near the typhoon's path.
Camarines Sur, Albay, and Sorsogon were caught flat-footed by the unprecedented rainfall Tropical Storm Christine dumped on the region that has sent Bicolanos in 3 provinces smarting and second-guessing themselves to this day. With another powerful typhoon on track to blow through and across the region over this weekend, the Bicolanos are better prepared this time. As we hear more from PTV's Gab Villegas live. Good evening, Gab.
Joe, the province of Camarines Sur is now bracing for the possible effects of Typhoon Pepito. The Camarines Sur Provincial Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council has deployed 40 evacuation teams in high-risk areas in the province, including those that fully submerged during the onslaught of severe tropical storm Christine. The evacuation teams are augmenting assisting municipal DRMO to facilitate massive evacuations in Nabua, Bula, Buhi, Garchitorena, Presentacion, Lagonoy, Canaman, Minalabak, Milaor, Kamaligan, Baaw, Tinambak, Gainsa, Calabanga, and Magarao. The CAMSUR PDRMC also identified alternative evacuation centers for 8 municipalities that completely went under floodwaters when severe tropical storm Christine hit. The provincial government has also installed and activated Starlink satellites in all 35 municipalities and 1 city in the province to ensure uninterrupted communication before, during, and after the typhoon. They also prepositioned relief goods that contain basic necessities such as food items for the affected families. Camarines Sur Governor Luigi Villafuerte also suspended classes in public and private schools at all levels, as well as work in provincial government offices, except those performing critically important duties and delivering essential services, particularly in emergency response. Joe, the weather situation here in Naga City, where we are live right now, remains calm despite Pag-asa, the Weather State Bureau, placed the entire province, including Naga City, under signal number 1. According to the latest rainfall outlook released this afternoon, the province of Camarines Sur will experience intense to torrential rain starting tomorrow until Sunday afternoon. There are also 21 municipalities in the province that may experience storm surge between 2.1 to 3 meters that may result to moderate and significant damage to communities, coastal marine infrastructures, and disruptions to all marine-related activities, as well as significant erosions to beaches and possible river flooding due to storm surge. The Naga City government already started to distribute rescue and communication equipment to its 27 barangays that will be used to their disaster response efforts. And that's the latest update. Back to you, Joe.
Thank you, Gab Villegas.
Meanwhile, several shipping line trips in Calapan Port have been cancelled as the country braces for the onslaught of Typhoon Pepito. And to give us more details on the situation in Oriental Mindoro, we have Angelo Calixtro from IBC. Good evening, Angelo. Yes, Angelo?
Yes, Princess, although the impact of Typhoon Pepito is not significantly felt in Oriental Mindoro, the Philippine Coast Guard and the Philippine Ports Authority have announced the cancellation of trips to and from the port of Calapan, starting as early as 7 o'clock a.m. today. Montenegro's shipping lines, for instance, has had 16 trips affected by this cancellation. Meanwhile, 350 passengers arrive at the port from Batangas around 6:50 p.m. Authorities reported that these passengers are residents of Mindoro who were allowed to travel given the temporarily favorable weather conditions so they could be with their families. According to the PCG and PPA, these early cancellations are part of the government's ongoing efforts to ensure the safety of coastal community residents. From IBC 13, Angelo Calixtro, Balitang Pambansa.
Many thanks, Angelo Calixtro from IBC.
Better to always be ready for the worst than to be sorry later on. Thus, even with the typhoon changing the direction of its movement northwest toward Catanduanes, Tacloban Mayor Alfred Romualdez, having lived through the horrors of Typhoon Yolanda, is not taking any chances and has instead ordered intensified monitoring and preparations for a direct impact. Philippine Information Agency Eastern Visayas correspondent Alit Reyes has the full story.
Even as Typhoon Pepito slightly veers west-northwest as it nears landmass, the city government of Tacloban is still hoisting its blue alert status in anticipation of the storm's potential impacts. On Friday morning, the UST Pagasa forecasted Pepito's track to be more likely to make landfall in the vicinity of Catanduanes tomorrow, evening of November 16 or early morning on Sunday, November 17. Tacloban City Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Officer LD Brando Bernada said the blue alert status means local authorities, including the CDRRMO, are now on heightened readiness for whatever outcome of the storm, may it be a direct hit or not. Bernada said Tacloban City Mayor Alfred S. Romualdez has already directed on Thursday all unit leaders of the City Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council to intensify monitoring efforts in light of the tropical depression.
Ang blue alert nagsimula na kaninang 12 a.m. Ibig sabihin ng blue alert is close monitoring and preparation. Okay. Lahat ng preparedness nilalatag natin so that any issue, kung may mga issues man na dapat resolvahin kaagad, mariresolve natin before the impact of Pepito.
Meanwhile, Bernardes assured that there are more than adequate food packs to support affected populace, as well as evacuation centers should there be a need to evacuate families, especially along the city's coastal areas. From Philippine Information Agency, Eastern Visayas, Alit Reyes for Balitang Pambansa.
The Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, in Eastern Visayas has prepositioned relief items valued at 112.86 million pesos to prepare for the possible impact of Typhoon Pepito in the region. Based on the information gathered by the Philippine News Agency, available resources include 110.88 million pesos worth of food and non-food items and a 2 million pesos standby fund. Among the relief goods are 81,388 family food bags and 36,470 non-food items. The DSWD also provided over 27 million pesos worth of humanitarian aid to families affected by tropical cyclones Nika and Offal in Ilocos region, Cagayan Valley, Central Luzon, Bicol region, and the Cordillera Administrative Region, or CAR.
As one of the perks of being the highest official of the land, the president gets first dibs in test riding a newly constructed railway line, such as the brand spanking new Light Railway Transit 1 and Cavite Extension Line, which he launched today. Experts estimate the line, once in full operation, will cut the usual hour-long commute between Pasay to Parañaque by 30 minutes to 3/4 of an hour. PTV's Clayson Padilla has more.
The first phase of the LRT1 Cavite Extension Project is officially open. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. led today's inauguration ceremony. The chief executive boarded and test rode the new train line, traveling from Dr. Santos Station in Parañaque to Redemptor's Asiana Station in Pasay City.
Hinihikayat ko lahat ng ating mga commuter, subukan ninyo at makikita nyo napakaginhawa kumpara sa traffic na nararanasan natin araw-araw.
Starting today, commuters can travel through 5 new stations on the LRT1 Cavite Extension Project. Because of this, the usual hour-long trip from Pasay to Parañaque will now take 15 minutes to half an hour at the most.
Usually pag pag nasa baba kang traffic, pawis na pawis ka. Samantalang dito, wow, ang sarap.
From the 320,000 daily ridership on the LRT1, 80,000 more passengers are expected to join the daily commute.
Ang equivalent nito ay mga 6,000 cars. 6 to 8,000 cars a day. No? Sige, biro mo, yun ang mawawala sa kalye.
This is expected to help ease traffic, especially during the holiday season. The LRT1 Cavite extension will be open daily from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. The train fare is priced at 45 pesos. This is the first railway line launched under the Marcos Jr. administration. The president took over the project initiated by his father, former President Marcos Sr.
On this day, no one is happier than his son in seeing that his father's foresight is being validated by another work that expands mass transit that he had built for the people that he loved.
There are now 25 stations on the LRT1 line from Fernando Poe Jr. Station in Muñoz, Quezon City to Parañaque. More stations are expected to be added through partnerships with private companies in line with the administration promise to strengthen the country's rail transportation system. For his part, the president has ordered the speedy resolution of the perennial right-of-way issues for projects, pushing for the completion of the Unified Grand Central Station, Metro Manila Subway, MRT 4 and 7, North-South Commuter Railways, and more.
From PTV Manila, Clay Zalpardilla, Balitang Pambansa.
Simply put, a country's decision to acquire more military might be able to defend its territory better is that nation's prerogative. That's why the Defense Secretary immediately put China to its rightful place with his reaction to arguably the second most powerful nation's comment on the Philippines' plan to possibly purchase a mid-range missile system from the U.S. PTV's Patrick De Jesus has more.
And the wrong path. Definitely, we cannot take advice from people who distort the truth. And nobody believes them anyway.
Meanwhile, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. led the change of command ceremony for the Philippine Navy today. Rear Admiral Jose Maria Ambrosio Espeleta assumed the position of Flag Officer in command of the Navy, succeeding the retired Vice Admiral Toribio Adasi Jr.
I look forward to working with you, and I give you my full support as you build on your legacy.
The new FOIC vowed to continue the Navy's projects and modernization efforts, relying on newly enacted laws such as the Philippine Maritime Zones Act and the Philippine Archipelagic Sea Lanes Act, both signed by the President Friday last week. From the People's Television Network, Patrick De Jesus, Balitang Pambansa.
Coming right up, economists forecast inflation rate to stay within the 2 to 4% target range in the next 2 years.
Farmers in Zamboanga receive solar-powered water pumps. More of these when Balitang Pambansa returns.
Ako po si Jerwin Macadenden, 42 years old, ARB beneficiary ng probinsya ng Quirino. Si Lola, siya yung dating nagtatanim ng puno rito, mais at saka puno ng kamoting kahoy. Nakalipas ang ilang taon, yumao na po siya at pinagkatiwala sa akin ng lupa. At ako na po yung nagtanim ng mga prutas at mga iba pang pagkain po rito at saka nag-aalaga na rin po ng mga iba't ibang klase ng hayop. Mula nung sinimulan namin ito, nagkaroon kami ng pagkakataon na libre ng aming ulam at nakapagbenta rin po ng mga ibang prutas para mapantulong sa aming pamilya at sa mga nag-aaral ko pong anak. Nag-umpisa na rin pong nilakad namin sa DAR ang pagpapalipat ng pangalan sa aking lola papunta sa akin. At nung April 17, 2024, inakuha ko na po yung title at nakapangalan na po sa akin.
Ayun pong umaga, utos ng ating mahal na Pangulo, President Bongbong Marcos, ibigay na ang titulo sa lahat ng agrarian reform beneficiaries.
Nagpapasalamat po ako kay Pangulong Bongbong Marcos, kay mahal na DAR Secretary Conrado Estrella III at sa lahat ng pamunuan ng DAR. Masaya po ako at masasabi ko na rin po, meron po kaming sariling lupa na sinasakat. Lola, kung nabubuhay ka pa, nakita mo na sana na fully developed itong lupain mo ngayon at ipagpapatuloy para sa kaunlaran ng iyong mga pamilya. Bagong Pilipinas, bagong buhay para sa pamilyang magsasaka.
Abangan nyo po ang PTV Sports Network.
A recent survey conducted by the Social Weather Stations or SWS reveals many adult Filipinos or 47% are optimistic quality of life will improve in the next 12 months. 40% of respondents expect their current situation to remain the same, while 5% express a more negative outlook, feeling their situation may worsen. The survey was conducted through face-to-face interviews with 1,500 participants aged 18 and above from September 14 to 23.
Meanwhile, on the other news, Camigan Island is considered the gold standard in disaster preparedness, according to the Office of Civil Defense. During the fourth quarter, nationwide simultaneous earthquake drill, or the NSED, Camigan showcased its response capabilities with over 800 participants engaged in scenarios addressing seismic and volcanic threats. The OCD stated powerful earthquakes could occur outside Metro Manila, emphasizing the need to strengthen the preparedness and capabilities of provinces to manage such destructive disasters. Meanwhile, Camigan Governor Xavier Jesus Romualdo expressed his gratitude for the chance to host the NSED and for the recognition of the local government's efforts in promoting a culture of resilience. The country's approved investments grew by over 6 times in the third quarter of this year, with nearly 75% coming from local investors. According to Philippine Statistics Authority or PSA data, total approved investments from both foreign and Filipino nationals reached 541.29 billion pesos between July and September, reflecting a 542.1% increase compared to the 84.29 billion pesos recorded in the same period last year. The PSA stated investment approvals are projected to create more 33,700 jobs. The largest portion of these foreign investments, amounting to 48.1% or 57 billion pesos, will be directed towards the manufacturing industry.
Economists surveyed by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas or BSP have kept their inflation forecast for 2024 at 3.4% with a stable outlook over the next few years. The BSP sees inflation risk as broadly balanced, meaning factors that could push inflation up or down are seen as equally likely. While inflation is expected to stay within the BSP's target range of 2 to 4%, the risks for 2025 and 2026 are slightly tilted to the upside, mainly due to the potential increases in electricity rates and wages outside of Metro Manila. Inflation is also expected to remain low due to lower rice import tariffs, although it may rise later in 2025. The BSP recently cut its policy rate by 25 basis points to 6%, aiming to support economic growth and keep inflation in check.
Water supply issue for Zamboanga farmers has been resolved with solar-powered water system pumps the government provided in the region. This source will be able to supply water to multiple hectares of farmland. Philippine Information Agency Zamboanga Mayra Espinosa has the details.
Farmers in Zamboanga City are extremely grateful for the assistance of solar-powered water pumps provided to various associations. Farmers no longer worry about running out of water supply, especially during drought seasons.
So alegre kat kami mga farmer para kay hindi na kami tapal ta agwa. Bien useful yakat kanamo nila agwa, todo kami ta pwede trabaha kay bonamente el source del agua.
Nearly 40 solar-powered water system projects have been provided and are currently underway by the National Irrigation Administration in the region. Several of these systems are in Zamboanga City, with each water pump able to supply water to multiple hectares of farmland. According to the farmers, they are saving significantly due to the water supply, and in addition, financial assistance from President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. earlier this year has provided substantial support.
Gracias kayo tel administrada di BBM pati el administrada también del NIA kay tasi katila expert so ayuda ka namon.
Water supply is no longer an issue for farmers thanks to the solar-powered water pumps provided by the government. From the Philippine Information Agency Zamboanga, this is Mayra Espinosa for Balitang, Pambansa.
The Department of Information and Communications Technology, or DICT, gave an assurance the eGovPH app remains secure. Initial probe revealed no large data transfer, user suspicious behavior, or network activity anomaly were detected. The DICT likewise denied rumors on the supposed data exfiltration supposedly carried out by a threat actor and urged the public to be mindful in sharing content online and just rely on official channels to get accurate and updated information. 108 medals, the total wins of Pasig City in the 8th edition of the Philippine National Para Games. This competition serves as a platform for para-athletes to prove that disability is not a hindrance to showcase their skills and talents. Radyo Pilipinas 2 sports correspondent Arian Malyare has more.
The city of Pasig is the back-to-back overall champion of the Philippine National Para Games, following its successful haul of 108 medals, 45 gold, 32 silver, and 31 bronze medals in the 8th edition of the Games, which concluded Thursday at the Rizal Memorial Coliseum in Manila. Aside from the overall championship, Pasig's Venji Aurelio was named PNPG's best athlete following a 4 gold medal haul, which made him the most bemedaled para-athlete after the 4-day competition. Aurelio, a polio victim at 6, scooped his 3 gold medals in the para-athletics throwing events when he ruled the men's shot put, discus throw, and javelin throw F54 class. Aurelio shared with RP2 Sports that para-athletes have proven once again that their disability is not a hindrance to doing extraordinary, as they showcase their strength, skills, and talent in this 4-day sports fest. He is hopeful that they would be able to inspire and encourage more persons with disability or PWD to come out of their comfort zones and join the Para Games, in which they have hope and have something to contribute to society.
Sana mas marami pang na-encourage na PWD ang lumabas at makilahok sa mga ganitong event.
For RP2 Sports, Arian Malyare, Balitang Pambansa.
And that concludes our rundown of the latest, widest, and most comprehensive news and information from all across the nation. From Radyo Pilipinas, I'm Joe Fernandez.
This is your trusted news source, always ready to inform and serve the Filipino people. Catch Balitang Pambansa again next week at 7 a.m., 12 noon, 6 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. for more updates and developments. From Radyo Pilipinas, I'm Princess Abiba Saripaudak, and this